Okay, let's see. Goal for today. 500 calls. We're doing 50. It's Maple Muffin Monday, everyone. Let's go to the break room. Did you watch last week's episode of The Bachelorette? Yeah, good drama, right? Hey, Veronica, you have till end of day to finish all this extra work. Respectfully, Susan, it's 2022. We're acting our wage, so don't give me extra work. Okay? Thank you. She did not say that. She did not. Oh my I'm dying. I'm happy to help. Have a great day. Okay, bye. Everyone have a great night. Okay, bye. Bye.
You know what else is ludicrous? This latest TikTok trend you've come across about quiet quitting.
Yes, oh my goodness. So you and I are a few of the only right-of-center voices who have yet to be purged from TikTok. So we're still on this app.
Hanging on. They're not showing our videos to anybody, but we're hanging on.
Yeah, I've had a few actually take off, but the algorithm is definitely against us last week.
Okay.
But so the concept of quiet quitting has blown up on TikTok. And now you're starting to see it, it covered in mainstream media, like, this is what the youths are doing. And everyone's like, yeah, okay, boomer, we've been talking about this for months. But it's essentially, the name is a little misleading. It's not actually quitting your job. It's what young people do to vent their frustration. They soft quit their job by beginning to do like the bare minimum. Clock in at 9 o'clock, take lots of breaks, leave at 5 on the dot, never answer an email. It's the antithesis of hustle culture. Here's a video that went viral kind of explaining the concept. It now has over 3.5 million views. Take a quick listen to this.
I recently learned about this term called quiet quitting, where you're not outright quitting your job, but you're quitting the idea of going above and beyond. You're still performing your duties, but you're no longer subscribing to the hustle culture mentality that work has to be your life. The reality is it's not, and your worth as a person is not defined by your labor.
So what's your initial impression of just this as a concept?
I guess I'm just kind of torn on it. Like, I'm a little sympathetic to it, and I have to admit there's probably been times in my past where I've quiet quit, not for the long term, but like in the month leading up to leaving, or, while I was job hunting and getting ready to leave. So I'm a little sympathetic to it if we're talking about this as like a short-term response to a work environment that's no longer working for you. If we're talking about as a long-term response, then I have issues.
Yeah. And some people really are. Take a listen to this one guy and what he had to say.
If I'm supposed to go above and beyond, then so should my pay. Don't expect something for nothing, right? Or does that only apply to poor people?
Yeah, my employees show up every day, but they don't dress up like Santa Claus and bring me toys, so they're lazy.
You're lucky that an employee does their job. I've done so little at work before that it wasn't even quietly quitting. It was technically robbing.
Oh. Right. Technically robbing.
Yeah, technically robbing. But this kind of demonstrates, and this one's pretty viral on there, the mentality here is like, do as little as possible. If y'all want me to do more, pay me more. That's just not how it works, folks. Your wages closely correspond, and economic data confirm this, to your productivity, right? And by producing more, that's how you get the promotion and get the higher wage. But you can't just sit at the bare minimum status quo and then wait to be promoted before you level up your skills or your game. And you're never going... the other flip side here is like, work-life balance is one thing, right? But just phoning it in and doing the absolute bare minimum and then saying, well, I expect to be paid more if I'm going to actually hustle or try hard, you're not going to get paid anything when you get laid off, because we are in a recession technically. We haven't started seeing like mass layoffs or terrible job numbers yet, but we may well soon, and if not now, in a year or two. And the people who are quiet quitting and just phoning it in, doing the bare minimum, are going to be the first ones to get the pink slips. You're not helping yourself with this mentality.
I largely agree with you, but I have some pushback. So, number one, there's this excellent podcast I listen to called Hidden Brain. It's my favorite podcast out there besides ours. And they have this episode on there that's about, I can't remember the term they use for it, but basically like worthless jobs. And they estimate that about 15 to 20%, I think, of the workforce are jobs that are not technically needed, but nobody really understands that they're not needed. And so you have a lot of bloat in the workplace where a lot of people are paid, especially in office jobs is where they find this, to do things that are not really measurable. And so it's kind of hard for managers, especially when you get in fairly large companies, to tell like who's really doing a lot, who's not doing their job, who's quiet quitting, who's just doing the bare minimum. So I think that is one problem that we have just in our workforce in general that exists, period, but that will be exacerbated during a recession where like deciding which jobs can go, which ones cannot. Those are things that can be a bit muddied because the lack of information higher up. But I do think if you're somebody who does go above and beyond, that's usually pretty evident, right? It's not always as evident that somebody just sucks at their job or isn't doing their job or is quiet quitting, but who goes above and beyond is evident, and people do take note of who those employees are, and they're going to want to keep them. So right now, it's kind of crazy to me that you see this trend all over TikTok and that people are openly admitting on TikTok with their faces and their names. Yeah, that they're doing this. And I'm like, dude, you're going to be the first to go in this looming recession. Like right now, I'm trying to get as many income streams as I can coming in. Like I think we're headed for some really hard times. Like I don't understand this mentality. But my one pushback on you is that I have been in jobs where, and I'm an above and beyonder in every facet of my life. I do the most. And so I'm always seen as like a golden employee and very much prized in the places I've worked, but that has not always led to the growth and income that it should have, specifically in nonprofit world. You know, I've been in jobs where I was killing it. I was knocking out the park. I was working tons of extra hours. I was adding tons of benefit. And then I'd get a pretty meager raise. Even when I was asking for raises, even when I was pointing out all the value, they were just kind of like, well, you're in this position and this is our max we pay for this position. And so we can't really go above that. And just that is poor management on their part. And they lost me ultimately because of it. But I do think that happens. That's where I'm
going with this. Over the long run, you will get compensated for your increased productivity, because if you are, say that you have an entry-level job and you're making $50,000 and you're producing $48,000 in value, or maybe $55,000 at first, and you level up your skills, you hustle, and all of a sudden you're producing $70K in value, but your boss won't give you a raise, or he'll give you a 1% raise. Another company can profit by poaching you and paying you $65,000. Or you can use the proof of your productivity that you're demonstrating to go out and get a job at a higher level that you wouldn't be able to get if you were just doing the bare minimum. I agree, your current employer may not immediately raise your wages, but over the long run, you're actually a perfect example of the opposite of this, because you are a hustler. You never have done the bare minimum in your life, right? Or maybe in a few cases, but by and large, you and I burn the midnight oil. And maybe it wasn't immediately recognized by your current boss, but over your career, it has exponentially increased your success and your earnings. And the problem is that they'll just get stuck in a rut where they're not advancing, they're not developing their skills because they're doing the bare minimum, but then they just stay at that level. And so I agree, you might have to hustle for a while before you get rewarded, but ultimately you will. And that's why I think this is really bad advice for people. A, they're going to get laid off, and B, they're closing the door on their own career advancement, right? Yes. When a promotion comes up, you're looking at the level below. Who are you going to move up? The person who's just done the bare minimum, or the person who's been hustling, who's been showing they can handle more responsibility? I think it's clear. I also think some of this is just like borderline absurd. And so I want to play this one that I really, really got a kick out of.
Because they just didn't want to hire anybody else. And they were like personally negotiating with me, trying to get me to do more work again. And I was like, I'm busy. And I used all the extra free time and free space made in my mind, no longer worrying about doing work. And with that extra energy, I came up with the idea to do queer history walking tours. I did a GoFundMe. A lot of my coworkers donated to it. I still do it. The pandemic was hard, but yeah, I was able to quit. And in doing less, I made life better for everyone around me. Do less, do less, do less, do.
So this person says that by quiet quitting, they were able to start doing queer history walking tours. And then they close out their video by chanting, do less. This is not good advice. This is not a model for productive life.
They said by quiet quitting, they made life better for everybody, but basically said their colleagues donated to them and then they couldn't make any money during the pandemic. I'm done. Like, So I'll say this. I think I quiet quit when I worked in the music industry towards the end of my time there. I hated it. I didn't want to be there anymore. I still did my job, but I by no means was like going over and above. I was starting to like do a lot on the side in politics. I was writing a lot more. I was like posting on social media all day. And I will say that me quiet quitting for a few months there, like it did kind of allow me to springboard into another career. And so
but that's
to that
not really
extent,
quiet quitting though, because the thing that if you watch more of these videos, they're saying quiet quit and then don't do more work. Don't like go and,
work is bad.
Netflix, social media, be outside. What you're saying is, when you're getting ready to move on or make a change, scale back a little bit at work and then hustle on developing your next move, your next career, your next skills. That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about clock out at 5:01 and go watch The Bachelorette and do your nails because self-care. They're not saying do a side hustle or work on other skills.
This is just
That's
bad advice.
part of why it's bad advice. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be great advice, but there are situations where the former does make sense. The latter is never going to set you up for success. And if you don't want to be successful, that's fine, I guess. But like, don't think that it's glamorous or that this is cool or funny. And that's what a lot of this is. Like this whole self-deprecating, nihilistic worldview, you find so much of it on TikTok, but I think they're fundamentally leading a lot of young people astray.
Yeah, well, and I think this is an attitude that I just think is so unhealthy being pushed, that like work is bad, work is not self-care, work is detrimental to you, work hurts
work gives life
your
meaning.
life. And I'm like,
for many people.
Work is everything. Like, I love work. There is human dignity and value in work, even if it's not the work you love, even if it's dirty work. And like, I hate when people come for me because like, yes, I now have a very cushy job. I get paid to do exactly what I want. I have a high level of autonomy and I make a lot of money. Great. Sue me. You know how long I worked to get that? I've been working since I was 10 years old. I've done every kind of job under the sun and I was great at all of them. And that's why I now have the position I have. And so I hate when people are like, well, you just love work because of your position. No, I've always loved working. I've always found meaning in it. I've always loved the freedom and autonomy of it. I love being able to use my gifts and my skills and like getting things done in the world. And I think if you are somebody who rejects that premise, you end up being a very unhappy, unfulfilled person because you never find a way to actually find value and meaning in work. You never find a way to actually like give back to the world and to really have a sense of purpose. And I think that this is like what they're pushing back on really. It's like work is not your identity. And it's like, it's a part of your identity. It is a part of your identity. What you do for a living, what you contribute, that should be a part of your identity. How well you show up to work, how you approach things from an ethical standpoint, that should be a part of your identity.
Taking pride in yourself.
Yes, taking pride in yourself and also like trying to build a better world for people you care about, like having the investment in yourself to actually try to improve your circumstances. These are higher values that people should be striving for and seeking. You're never going to have a happy and fulfilling life from sitting around watching Netflix, watching porn, stuffing your face, kicking it with your friends. Those things are fun maybe for a little bit, but I promise you, if you ended up getting to do nothing else but those things all day, every day for a month, you would find your life vapid and hollow and sad. And so it should not be encouraged.
I agree completely. And I do think that I feel bad for people who don't find any meaning or fulfillment in their work, but your goal should be to reorient your career and find that, not to, work as little as possible. You can find plenty of meaning in life outside of work, but for most people, it's a big part of being fulfilled and feeling like you're doing something with your life. I mean, the whole thing in WALL-E where they're all like super fat and they've got chairs that move around in the air and they drink soda out of an IV or whatever. It's like that is actually meant as a warning of like that is where you'd end up if you literally just all your day was recreation, and you would be miserable, right? Like people need to have meaning and work and purpose, and work is actually good. Even if it is meaningless work to you, meaningless, there's something in providing for yourself and providing for your family and being independent and taking care of yourself that has inherent dignity to it. And that's what I want these young people to find, and they're not getting it from these silly trends on this communist app.